There's a very high probability that the US government will change its mind and follow Washington and Texas state on supporting NACS, or Tesla's charging standard, as the new US charging standard. Hello my friends, welcome to the channel. I'm the Snot Viking. Great to see you. Thank you for tuning in. Apologies for being away for a while. Had a bit of a crazy transition to back to the real world, I guess. Back here in Australia. I'm actually in my parents' room here. We learned a few days ago that Texas would actually support NACS, or NACS, as the charging standard in the state. This makes a lot of sense. Ford, GM, even Stellantis now are saying that they're considering joining NACS. A lot of companies, Mercedes, Hyundai, have said that they're looking into it as well. Other private charging businesses are saying, yep, NACS is probably the way to go. I think it's fair to say that NACS will become, within the next 6 months, the charging standard in the US. But the Biden administration, they're holding out. They're saying, no. We're not giving Tesla any funds whatsoever unless they install CCS chargers. Tesla said it doesn't make sense financially for us to do that. US government said, no, too bad. I think it's fair to say US government has had some very good relations with the UAW for a while now. Now that that's broken, now that that's no longer the case, now the UAW is publicly slamming the US government, maybe the US government will think twice on its current anti-Tesla situation. And you might think, oh, I'm just saying that because I'm a Tesla fan. But I think it's pretty fair to say, to some degree, the US government hasn't really gotten along with Tesla. Tesla isn't part of the unions. It's not part of the UAW. And for whatever reason, that means that things haven't gone as smoothly for them possibly as they might have done so. Now, Washington are saying they're joining Texas in requiring a NACS charging plug for infrastructure funding. Basically, Washington State and Texas are doing the complete opposite to the US government. The US government is requiring CCS. Texas and Washington are saying, no, we require NACS for funding. The polar opposite. Basically, what it means is that Texas and Washington have admitted that, yes, NACS will become the North American charging standard, which makes sense. To be fair, 70% of all cars in the US have NACS plugs on them. And obviously now with Ford and GM, the two other largest EV manufacturers in the US and two of the largest automakers in the US, supporting NACS, or NACS, let's call it, it means the tide has completely turned. What does this all mean? Well, as Tesla's North American charging standard gains traction, another state, Washington, has followed Texas in mandating the use of NACS plugs for charging companies seeking federal funding for charging infrastructure expansion. If you want to get funding now to build chargers in Washington state, they have to have a Tesla NACS plug. Now, very soon we won't be calling them Tesla plugs, we'll just be calling them a charging plug. This move comes amidst recent announcements from major automakers, Ford, General Motors, and Rivian opting for Tesla's NACS chargers over the combined charging system CCS connection. Outside of the US, Tesla's NACS standard actually doesn't really work, but in the US, it's the perfect solution. The other thing to consider is the chargers themselves. A NACS charger is about a quarter the size of a CCS charger, and it's much more efficient, easier to use, and actually reliability is much higher as well, which is the reason why Ford, GM, and Rivian were one of the reasons why they now have moved to this standard. That, and they will have access to Tesla's chargers for their cars, meaning access to the biggest and best charging network for their customers in the United States. It's basically meaning their customers will have a better experience. Whilst the decision is not finalized, Tonya Buell, Washington State's Alternative Fuels Program Manager, recognizes the need for further testing and certification. Plans, though, are underway to require NACS at state-funded and federally funded charging sites in the future. This requirement specifically applies to companies seeking federal funds for new charging stations, presenting a significant opportunity given the availability of an incredible $7.5 billion for charging infrastructure development. That's a lot of money. Federal regulations mandate a minimum of 4 CCS chargers per site, but impose no specific minimum for NACS plugs. Basically, they're saying CCS is still the standard and NACS is not. Tesla too would need to adhere to the CCS requirement if they pursue federal funding for new supercharger locations. So what that means is that right now, Tesla doesn't get any federal funding, whereas CCS charging companies do. With more states embracing the NACS plug, the future of EV charging infrastructure in the US has taken an intriguing turn. The extent of the progress will depend on whether other US automakers choose to adopt NACS as well. Excitingly, Hyundai and Stellantis are currently considering NACS for their EV models, while Lucid remains cautious due to its higher voltage battery technology. But I don't think that's an issue because if you think about it, other Tesla products are said to have 1 megawatt charging speeds, more than likely 800 volt architecture, so I don't think that would be an issue. This remarkable shift though, it signals a paradigm change in EV charging standards, ushering in a new era of compatibility and convenience to electric vehicle owners nationwide. And major US publications are saying this is a charging market worth up to $10 billion per year for Tesla. That's a lot of money. I've been saying now for a while that the main automaker that has put itself in position to get access to the US gas market when it moves from gasoline to electricity is Tesla. One of the key advantages that Tesla have is they have the cheapest deployment rates. Apparently it costs Tesla around a quarter of the price to build a charging station versus the competition. Now let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. Thank you for watching.